Headline, Trudeau, I'm raising my kids to be feminists to fight Canada's culture of sexism. So, and we all know, I mean, look at Trudeau, always at the Pride Parade, right? Trying to virtue signal, seemingly 24 hours a day, that fucking guy, or every time you hear him, you know, anything he espouses through the establishment media outlets, it seems to be constantly talking about sexism or feminism or promoting women, right? Like I say, so you got some guilty conscience that he's trying to clear? Is that what's going on there? You know, are you conveying your own personal sexist bias? It sure seems that way from my observation. And this is a guy that has sons, right? And we all know his father, Pierre Trudeau, was quite the ladies' man. Like to step out maybe a little bit, right? Do a little on the side things, right? So like I said, it seems to be anecdotal experiences based on his own personal subjective life, but he's putting forth this kind of narrative, this kind of dialogue based on his own guilt. I mean, what that's gonna do to his poor sons. Yeah. I mean, I feel sorry for his sons. Hopefully they grow up to reject the kind of bullshit and be better men than their father could ever hope to be, right? And steer clear of being part of the political / ruling class. But, you know, I don't know how well that's going to play out, right? Maybe not so much. But it's just more evidence and further proof to what I'm presenting in this video. Is it seems here that Trudeau, I mean, think of it, if you're trying to teach your kids to be feminists, well, you've got some guilty conscience going on there. Either that or you're a whipping boy for the fucking feminists and the domineering women in your life. I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to make excuses for you there, Trudeau. You're going to have to deal with that shit on your own there, man or woman. Man. I mean, you are a man, right? For sure? You got the rigging down below, right? I want my sons to escape the pressure to be a particular kind of masculine that is so damaging to men and the people around them. It almost seems like he's saying to men, I mean, just based on that little few sentences there, it almost seems like he's suggesting to men that, hey, you got to learn how to play the game, right? If you want to control and dominate women properly, well, let me tell you how you do it. You got to, cater to them, give them some kind of false pretense that you're on their side. Hey, I'm a feminist too, right? Is that what you're doing? You're using politics and the power of political persuasion as a means to an end instead of just being a good man, right? Is that what you're talking about here, Trudeau? Kind of sounds like it. Cultivating feminism within his children will be a guiding principle of his parental strategy, writes Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau in a Wednesday published op-ed at Marie Claire. Raising his 3 children to be feminists, he adds, will help improve a Canadian society he broadly indicts as possessing a culture of sexism, right? And like I say, think about Trudeau. Think about the people he would have grew up around and surround himself with, the kind of people his family would have surrounded themselves with. So where's this culture you're talking about, Trudeau? You have no anecdotal or personal subjective experience of what it's like to live in the private sector, in the private realm. So once again, it's given more weight and evidence to the pretense of what I'm suggesting, which it seems to be that it's all about that corrupting power of any pretense of so-called authority that you're referring to, right? Not anything to do with people where you have to deal with each other on a voluntary basis. It's all about, seems to be that, oh yeah, if I'm in a position of authority over you, and I suppose that would make sense. If I'm in a position of authority over people, of course I have the ability, especially like someone like Justin Trudeau, where his father was a Prime Minister of Canada. I suppose he could probably treat girls like shit as many times as he wanted, and what trouble is he going to get in, right? Not going to happen. Like, he's part of the protected / ruling class. So like I say, it seems a little bit anecdotal guilt of his own personal subjective experiences that's being conveyed in this article. Titled, Why I'm Raising My Kids to Be Feminists, Trudeau pushes the feminist paradigm, framing women as broadly oppressed by men. Oh, those poor, weak women, right? See, my woman would never even let me put forth or present that kind of narrative that, women are, you're just oppressed by men. She'd be like, oh, yeah? No, but really though, my woman's a strong, independent woman. Apparently Trudeau's not so much, or the people around him, not so much. He expresses fear for his 8-year-old daughter, Ella's future, on the basis of his feminist paradigm. Oh, well, really? Really? What'd you do to your daughter, Trudeau? What have you and all those that you surround yourself, what have you done to your poor daughter? Right? That would cause you to have so much guilt. I love Ella, and I worry because as a father, son, husband, and citizen, I witness the unreal obstacles women and girls face every day. It's 2017 yet. Hold on. It's 2017 yet in Canada and around the world, women and girls still face violence, discrimination, stereotypes that limit them, and unequal opportunities that keep them from achieving their dreams. It is maddening to me that my brilliant, compassionate daughter will grow up in a world where, despite everything she is as a person, there will still be people who won't take her voices seriously, who will write her off simply because of her gender. Well, hey, here's an idea, Trudeau. Get the fuck out of politics. Stop hanging around and associating with the most vile people in this fucking country. There's your problem. Hey, no need to thank me. I'm here to help everyone. Even you, if need be. But don't sit here and fucking try to talk down to the rest of the Canadian population, especially those of us in the private sector who know better, who have completely different personal experiences than the kind of shit you're trying to put forth or espouse. Like I said, all you're doing, I mean, Freud would have a field day with this kind of shit. I hope you know. If Freud were alive today, or if you went to a psychologist, they'd be saying, man, I mean, they'd be nice to you to your face, right, because of who you are, maybe. But as soon as you walk to the board, like, holy, this fucking guy's psycho. Now, this guy is exactly the kind of shit that he's talking about and going against in his political tirades, or the kind of shit he espouses in the media. That's the reality of the fact, folks. Protecting Ella from what he describes as Canada's culture of sexism, writes Trudeau, requires the cultivation of a feminist outlook. The best thing we can do is to help Ella learn unshakably that she is enough, exactly as she is. That means raising her feminist, full stop. So, I feel bad for your sons. I really do. I mean, what you're doing to your sons, but I don't know, I guess maybe your wife has, in addition to your own personal subjective guilt and the fact your wife knows how to take advantage of all that fucking guilt. And like I say, we're actually close to the same age, and the kind of stuff you put forward was that it's alien to someone like myself. So I'm just going to tie up this video because I don't really need to read any further on. I think enough evidence and personal anecdotal experience from Mr. Trudeau has been espoused that it's like, yeah, I don't need to say anything else. Let's leave the rest up to psychologists and sociologists that will maybe help alleviate Mr. Trudeau from his white guilt or his male guilt that seems to be so rampant and so underlying in what makes up his composition of who he is. It's Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.